Hey guys, Katie here, and I am so excited because this is my first video in 28 days, I believe. July and so far August. This whole summer has just been so busy. We have been out of town every weekend, but I have just not made time or found time to get into my craft room until this weekend. So I'm super excited to be bringing you a video after 28 days. I am joining the creative design team for our monthly collab where we are featuring large photos. Now, I am almost the tail end of the week, so you've probably already seen the girls and their large photos. I know that they probably wowed you with what they have. In today's video, I am going to kind of cheat a little bit. I'll explain more about that later, but I am using a sketchbook, one of our creative design team sketchbooks. This is the 6x8, and it's really designed to be one of the December daily things that you do. But I was looking for a sketch with a large photo. And you guys know, if you follow me here, one thing I love about sketches is that you can manipulate them to fit your style, your photos. And that's what I did on this one. I just enlarged the 6x8 to be a 12x12. It is going to be a single page layout featuring one of the many weekends that we spent on the basketball court and out of town. Now, I usually do videos or I usually do layouts featuring just basketball. Um, Having four children, and then our youngest son, the other two, his older brothers that are out of the house, I am just tired of doing sports layouts. You can only do so many soccer, so many basketball, so many football, track, so on and so forth. So I figured that I am going to try something different. I am going to actually do it more of day in the life style instead of, hey, here's the teams that we played, here's the score. I don't need to know the score. I don't need to have a photo from every game, but I did snap some one of these weekends. And then this is just from one weekend. And then I am going to journal about each one of the photos. I do have a few extra photos. I was tempted to make this a 2-page layout, but again, just because of the amount of sports layouts and sports activities that our family has, I would be inundated with double page layouts. So I really like this style I'm about to show you. It does feature a large photo. It cheats a little bit, but it's just to remind you that you don't have to have what the sketch calls for. You can go out on your own. Sketches are wonderful starting points. And so I'm hoping by the end of this video, you are inspired to take either some of our sketchbooks or sketches that you find online and manipulate them. And definitely try to throw a large photo in there if you can. So let me turn my camera around and we can get started on today's video. So I have this sketchbook. I'm going to put that to the side and then take a look at the photos. So here is where I was telling you that I kind of cheated. So I did a collage for an 8x10 photo. And then here are some more photos. I'm not sure if I'm going to add flip flaps or maybe use those for other one page, like documenting how I feel, you're so wonderful, all of that stuff. I've pulled out the soda pop paper and sticker sheet, and I'm just grabbing two of the patterns. So soda pop has a lot of green in it. I really don't need the green because it's going to clash with the yellow of the wood floor, and then of course the orange of the basketball. So to start out, I am going to use one of my favorite stencils for basketballs, and this is just kind of a diamond stencil, and I'm just inking up on a scratch piece of cardstock. And then on my white cardstock base, I've put some sapphire cardstock down and then some of that pattern paper from Soda Pop. And then I'm going to repeat the process with the photo. Now, I did leave the photo mat without adhesive on that right side so I can tuck some things under. And then I've matted that collage on some white cardstock and then just going to mat that. And that way, all of these pieces has a nice little mat to it. So Soda Pop reminds me of an old layout, or an old paper collection from close to my heart called Later Skater. So I had all these PML cards, and I've just pulled out some, and I'm putting them in piles. So some will be journaling, some I'll cut apart, so on and so forth. They pretty much have the same colors. There were a couple that I pulled out that had a red, because our son's friend that is in one of those middle photos has a red jacket on. And then I've pulled out some small circle shaker dies, or shaker foams. So I'm just going to trim this circle out. It does not have to be perfect. And you can see just that inked up reminds me of a basketball net. So to do my shakers, I like to separate the outer ring from the inside pieces, peel away that backing, and then turn that net paper on top of that. And then once you pull back that piece, all the little insides that I did not remove the backing, those remove really easily. I do have these little basketball images, shakers, so I've put those in, going to kind of shake that loose, and then grab the acetate for this small little circle. Now, this acetate does have a protective film on it, so I'm just trying to figure out which side that is. I'm going to add an anti-static pouch, and then I realize that I've gotten some fingerprints. Going to clean that off, and then just turn that on top of that little shaker piece, and that's going to stick to that adhesive foam, and then peel away that backing. And then I'm just loving that. I'm not going to cover the foam sticker around the edge. I am going to start trying to tuck in some of these PML cards. So there are some 3x4 and 4x6s. I'm definitely looking for an option to do my journaling. So like I said, this photo, it basically is just a weekend recap. So I definitely want to make sure that whatever I use has 8 lines to it, because there are 8 photos. One of the reasons why I chose the Later Skater PML cards, not only for the journaling, but for these cards that had little pieces that I could cut apart and use as embellishments. So I'm just going to cut some of those apart from these 3x4s. Try to figure out where I want this one. I'm really filling it at the top of the journal card. And then I have pulled out from my stash some older embellishments. These are kind of like fabric tags. And I'm wanting to put something kind of in the middle or by my son and his friend. So there are a couple that have to do with friendship. And so I'm going to play around with that one. I think I want it in the middle of those top 4. And then I am going to start looking at the other PML cards. Now, I really like what I'm seeing right here, but I want to use some of these acrylic shapes, these titles. And there's just this bright orange that I think goes with the numbers on the jersey. So I've decided not to use the red. So I've trimmed that off, and then I am going to start looking at a replacement for the 4x6 PML card that I currently am using for my journaling. So I think I've found it in this one that has a title up at the top. At first I'm thinking I like the title, but I end up replacing that. I am going to pull out the sticker sheet from Soda Pop right quick and try to find one that will go with the titles from the acrylic letters. Now, I do not like rounded edges, so I've gone ahead and I've squared off the edges of that 4x6. I'm going to go ahead and replace that little fabric tag, and this one is going to say all in the family, and I'm going to end up moving that later on. Embellishing is just such a process for me. I love putting things in different places, seeing what it looks like, maybe go wash some dishes, come back and visit, so on and so forth. So this is the only sticker I'm using, and it says good times. I'm going to loosely put it right there and then realize that it really needs to pop. So I'm going to move that basketball shaker element up at the top, again, hoping to hide the title that was on the PML card. And then go ahead and stick that good times on top of there. I'm going to move those little pennants to the bottom left by those photos, and then add some 3D foam tape to this little awesome. So this awesome is also from Later Skater, and it is actually part of a zip strip. I think it's going to go really good on that larger photo. And then I'm going to also add some 3D foam to the back of this fabric tag. Now, this fabric tag is a little flimsy, so I'll go ahead and add a third one, going to get that backing removed and then adhere it down by that bottom smaller left photo. And then I am going to start with this. I really wanted to bring the stars in. If you are a follower of mine and all my sports layouts, stars are one of my favorite things to use. But of course, since I got rid of the red, I'm going to use those bright orange acrylic shapes. I'm just trimming off the red from the star, and I'm going to place that down, and that is where my title is going to kind of be backed. Originally, I thought that pattern paper, that larger pattern paper, was going to be enough of a backing for these letters, especially since I'm leaving the life whole. So there's an outline and then an inside to this, but I wanted to leave them both. I wanted to do a backing, and of course I did the stars. And then I'm pulling out a stamp set, and I'm going to ink this little row of stars in some Nectarine ink, and then stamp that at the bottom and the top, just near those edges. This is the This Happened stamp set. I'm making sure that I originally wanted 8 lines. Now I think I'm going to do 4 so I can add enjoy up at the top over the life. Now I am going to use some large glue dots to adhere life down, and I'm making sure that I am adhering those glue dots on that outline as well as the inside, and that way both layers stay. And then enjoy, I'm just using some of my Barely Art glue. I love that stuff. And then it's got that fine tip applicator, which allows me to go around those letters and get that adhered down. And then I'm going to come back in with some more acrylic shapes. So we've got some stars that are pretty close to the lagoon color. So I'm just going to pull out a couple of small ones and sprinkle those up at the top left. And then of course you saw that one down by the title of Enjoy Life. I am going to do a large one up in that top left corner. And then I am going to take some more of those little basketballs. Now, since I hid the majority of this basketball shaker, I really wanted to add some of these basketballs other places. And so I'm just going to add some liquid adhesive down by those pennants at the left. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple by Enjoy Life, and then add one up by those top stars. And that way it kind of sprinkles in that. It brings in a darker orange. That way you don't only have the dark orange in the shaker. It's sprinkled throughout. And then I am going to take a look at, again, that Good Times. It needs to pop just a little bit more. Of course, you know, I added it to the shaker. That popped it a little bit. But I'm just taking a blue journaling pen and I am just adding some doodle lines. Now, these aren't feminine doodle lines. These are basically just going over 2 or 3, maybe 4 times and just adding some lines around that shape. And for the most part, that does make it pop. I'm going to add the date, and then I'm also going to use this pen for the journaling here in a second. So you can see just all of the dimension that this layout has. I love that I have captured one full weekend into this one-page layout with this large photo. Again, I will add journaling that will basically summarize these 8 photos. And then those extra photos, like I said, one is of me and my husband. Another one is of our daughter and our son. And that way I can do that by documenting their relationships, so on and so forth. So don't forget that this is part of the Creative Design Team Collab. Not only do we feature videos here on YouTube, but we do have a Creative Design Team membership. It is exclusive. The videos you see over there, you will not see on our YouTube channel, and we are open right now. If you would like to join that membership, click the link below to join. And then also you can click on any of the links to shop any of the products that are still available. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to leave a comment, hit that like button, and if you aren't already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button and share with your friends. Thanks, and y'all have a wonderful rest of your weekend.